Hey there, it's me again, Richard Herring with RHLSTP. Second in a week. It's going to be that way for a little while, my fine friends. My fine friends. This week we have the wonderful Mike Wozniak. You may have seen him on Man Down or his fantastic stand-up or hundreds of other places. And he's always been a great guest, been on once before. And I am going crazy. So why not come and see RHLSTP live? Go to richhang.com/gigs. You can find out where we're coming. It's basically London, Birmingham and Norwich. But it's all selling pretty quickly, so don't leave it to the last minute. It's not like the old days of Richard Herring gigs when you could just rock up and have a whole row to yourself. No, sometimes you have to book ahead. And we are aiming for really big guests this year to compete with Adam Buxton. I hate him so much. Unless he comes on again, in which case, hooray. And I love him, he's fantastic. Do buy tickets, richhang.com/gigs for all the information there. GoFasterStripe.com has all sorts of things like downloads of my live shows, emergency questions books. You can buy 3 different books for £20. That's a fantastic deal. You can also get DVDs and downloads from many of this country and the world's finest comedians, who some of whom aren't recognised by TV and such forth, but who are very good. Thank you to Chris Evans, not that one, for the fantastic work he puts into Go Faster Stripe and, of course, Sky Potato as well, and all the stuff we're seeing here. We're hoping to bring you lots more interesting stuff this year. So if you are a badge subscriber, if you are giving us a bit of money and on Kickstarters every now and again, we're hoping we will put that to good use and bring you even more content in 2020. It's going to be a good year, my friends. I've got a good feeling about 2020. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy RHLSTP with Michael Wozniak.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corn Exchange in Exeter. We liked it so much last week, we came back again. Please welcome a man who has been today terrified by a balloon. It's Richard Herring. Yo, yo. Hello. Hello, Exeter. Oh, you're much better than last week's audience. They were terrible, I said. I'm rubbish. They were terrible. Welcome to Richard Herring's Lighthouse Serenading Troubadour podcast. Fucking hell, I'm scraping the bottom of the pan. It's difficult. You'd think there'd be loads of words beginning with LST, wouldn't you? It's a new podcast in which it's like Britain's Got Talent, but we're looking for troubadours, the best troubadour in the country who like singing to lighthouses. So it's going to be quite a long process, obviously, as we whittle that down week by week. I went to sleep in a nice medieval house in Exeter in 1961 today, and when I woke up, the whole thing had moved right down the street. And the man moving along, he calls it RHLSTP, so I don't... just being driven slowly mad by this podcast, I can tell you. It's my son's birthday again this week, like it was last week, and it's... We had a birthday party from yesterday with 15 2-year-olds. He's 2 years old, 15 2-year-olds in our house. It's not nice. I'm hoping it gets better as they get older, but I don't think it does. But he had his Nana and Papa bought him like some balloons, and one of them was like that guy from the Lego movie, you know, the balloon of the Lego guy from the Lego movie, the main one. I don't know what he's called. It's a funny film. But that's just in our dining room, which just doesn't have a door on it. And every time I come down the stairs, this thing goes like that, and I think it's a bloke. Every single time. I tweeted about it, said every time I put a picture of it, and then I walked down, and then I saw it, oh, God, I said, like 10 seconds later, still convinced this balloon is a real person. So that's what's happened to me this week. Been a good week, hasn't it? So let's crack on. Been a good week. Good to be back in Exeter. So, my guest this week, he's probably best known as the narrator in the tale of the upside-down mermaid. That's why we've all come out today. to see him. Will you please welcome Mike Wozniak, ladies and gentlemen? Come in.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, just not one of those lights over. I'll just check it's all right. It's not your fault, really. Let's not burn ourselves. Oh.
It's a strong start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Well
just
done,
want to check,
Stagecraft.
if that curtain goes up, could that? I don't know how it works. The optics could go up in flame. That would be an embarrassment if you were
someone
burned.
from the audience would just let me know if I appear to be smoking out of the back of my neck. It would be appreciated. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So, lovely to have you back. You were on the podcast in Machantlev.
Yeah, a long time ago.
A few years ago.
It's at least 5 years.
Yeah, and I'm delighted to see the moustache is there.
I don't particularly know how I can account for my time.
What have you been doing in the last...
I've done roughly fuck all in that time. I was sort of thinking back, what have you achieved, Mike, in that half decade?
Yeah.
And it is pretty much that I've still got a moustache.
Yeah.
That's
it.
It's about it.
But the moustache comes and goes a little bit.
It occasionally goes.
Yeah.
We may have touched on this last time. It
sure.
occasionally goes to sort of, for casting directors to say, look at this guy,
Well, you're very, not that you're not handsome with the moustache, but you're very handsome without the moustache.
Keep talking.
Very, very. If I was saying backstage, if you've got a little bit of stubble, very
bit roguish.
Very
my wife
different.
disagrees though, so she won't come near me.
Okay.
I think she feels like she's being sort of caressed by something reptilian.
Yeah.
Something without a full face, so sort of snouty. Snouty is how she describes me.
Okay, without the...
So it balances out the snout, the face shape. It just sort of snouts into a sort of facial apex.
Okay.
And so this acts as a kind of a buffer.
Okay. See, my wife does not like... I like to allow my beard to grow out a little. I then get annoyed by it, but my wife does not like me having facial hair. No? She loves me having the soft face and lips of a lady. That's what she likes. She likes to imagine I'm a lady. She will definitely leave me for a woman. I've said this before, but I'm cool with it.
You're ready for it.
As long as there's a little interim period where I'm just slightly involved somehow. I don't mind.
Independent observer or...
Yeah. I'm happy just to watch, but if I'm allowed just to dip my wick in, then I'll be very happy.
Well, you
with
can
it.
talk the talk, can't you? So you might be able to.
But you've been doing plenty of stuff. What about the upside down mermaid you were the narrator of? How was that? How did that go?
That was a lot of fun. That was. Yeah.
It sounds like a goose. I'm guessing. I didn't watch it. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she has a fish's head and a human legs.
Bang on.
Yeah.
Bang on. It's all
I
there.
like that. I like that idea.
And then what if? And then let's see how that plays out.
Yes.
It's a romance.
Yeah.
But it's very funny. There's a director, a guy called Nick Fluger.
Okay.
Who got me in for that. And I think it was just a job because I get this now and again where someone just needs someone to do it. And there's the assumption that I'm probably available. And I was.
It's good to be available, Mike.
Available
skill.
and often to do something for either very little or for nothing. But it's very funny. But
you have been in quite a lot of it. You're a fantastic stand-up. We must have talked about this last time, but I saw you in 2007, 2008 and wrote a blog about having seen one of your first gigs and saying how great I thought you were. And you're a great stand-up, but you got kind of sucked into the world of TV and acting and have not done so much stand-up.
The giddy lights, and then there's boring sort of stuff. Living here, which is lovely, but it is also the wrong place. This is not a mecca for show business. People don't come to Exeter to make their dream come true.
No, well, it's an odd. So I moved out of London, and we were discussing the various places we could live. And as a stand-up, there are places you think, well, this would be an ideal place to live. Not Exeter, definitely not Exeter. Yeah. But in terms of, I could get back from a lot of gigs from this place. So if you lived in, I think Russell had lived in Leamington Spa for a while, which
crafty
seemed like a very good place to live.
Yeah,
somewhere Birmingham or Manchester. Somewhere you could even get back from Glasgow. To some of those places.
This one makes less sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's like children come along, that sort of boring stuff, and the wanting to see them a bit now and again.
I mean, you can live somewhere other than Exeter and just have the kids space there.
My wife's parents live here, so then you're faced with: do I invest in my career as a stand-up, as an artist, or do I exploit a couple of old people for free childcare? Yeah.
Yes, that was very much not your grandparents, but my parents, but my wife's parents live very close to where I live, coincidentally as well.
Now that you've moved close to where they live.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What a coincidence. Yeah.
So I do understand that, and it is a lovely place down here in Exeter. I feel very at home in the West Country anyway. I mean, some people here won't see Somerset as being the West Country, but it's. Having grown up in Cheddar, I felt, as I drove into Exeter, I felt like a little, I'm feeling of belonging here,
You can see green from places in the centre of the city, which makes you question whether or not you are truly in a city, technically. But it is technically, it's got a cathedral and a university and a Wagamama's. I think there's there's a sort of triple crown.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's got a very good guitar shop.
Yeah.
I'm not outdoorsy. That's the trouble. No. I should be outdoorsy. There's especially as a sort of a middle-aged, middle-class white man, I should be geared up to the max with spandex and sort of bicycles that don't have pedals, and should be sort of blocking up B roads on Dartmoor on the weekends, infuriating farmers. But I'm sort of bone idle, so I haven't got into that scene.
Okay. I noticed there were 2 fancy dress shops on the same street.
Big time fancy dress around here. 2, and yet a lot of people will make their own around here.
Right.
There's a lot of crafty types. A big scene. Yeah. It's all about escape, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. So you find that's. But in terms of doing like one-man shows, which you were doing, so it's 2015, 2016, the last time you did.
That's the last proper. They've been. So I gig very infrequently now, which means that when I do, I sort of dwell on it too much, and I do want to keep doing it. But the last one I did in Edinburgh, I enjoyed Edinburgh up until the last week, and it was a sort of story show about sort of a cat getting stuck in the boot of my car.
Yeah.
In the last week, I found myself, I sort of suddenly kicked into kind of automatic pilot, which is never a good sign. No. And there was this voice in my head saying, "Oh, shut up, you fucking twat." Oh, who cares? Oh, that's a lie. Oh, you've made that up. Oh, fuck off and do something useful, you fucking bone-idle turd. And it's been quite hard to shake that off.
Yeah.
And there have been new shows like the last few years. I've written kind of whole shows, and I've ended up not working them up in gigs, but I'll take them to Mac, for example. Yeah. And last couple of years I've written a whole show just sitting in my house, and then I'll do the whole show, and I'll have a lovely time, and I'll think, oh, maybe there's a show in this somewhere if I work on it, and I leave. The puffed up little prince full of myself and having a lovely little drive back. And by the time I've got, 4 hours back from Mac and I'm drawing into Devon again, then the little voice is back saying, "You narcissistic little wanker. It's just made up bollocks. Fuck off. Stop it." So
I think doing a show of that would be pretty good. Just do a show with that voice playing over the intercom. I'm pretty...
Just guesting in other people's shows as well, possibly. Just on an offstage mic. If the show needs a bit of a zing,
I think that's interesting. I mean, I have not done stand-up. I've not done a stand-up show. I've done a few little tiny gigs for 18, 20, 19 months, something like that. Yeah. So because of the family
voice.
and just being... But the voice is there. I think when you do... long tour or duet. I mean, Edinburgh's hard. Like I did Edinburgh this year, and it's too long. The last week is you're ready to go before the last week.
Yeah.
But I on tour I often it's worse than it's like a little demon in your head saying just trying to. I've had it saying what if you forget how to breathe, or what if you forget how to speak, and And that's really just, as you're in the middle of a show, you know very, very well, and you could do without, your mind starts drifting. So there's just that little voice going, what if you can't? What if you forget how to form words? How are you forming words?
I think I've got almost the opposite thing where it's almost egging me on to forget all words.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be a more interesting thing to watch now of a man slowly sort of deleting all of the files.
Yeah.
Just one by one, sort of speech, motor function, memory, mouth control, and eventually breathing. I mean, that would be a magnificent sort of swan song gig, I think. If I could find some way for someone to sort of, slowly sort of take the pins out the back of my brain or whatever it is that's happening, it might be quite, I might do that one day.
It is interesting. I mean, I guess it is. There's a thing about becoming a more mature person with responsibilities that comedy can sometimes. I feel both ways about it. Sometimes it feels like a very, very stupid job to be doing, and sometimes it feels like the greatest trick in the world to have got away with.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing to do for your time. Yeah, I do feel like a wastrel. My wife's a GP, for example.
Right.
It's quite a tough time to be a GP. She's generally, it's quite a sort of struggle. She goes off to work first thing in the morning and, is there for hours slaving away doing God knows what. And I'm literally, in that day, half the day is spent thinking, how can I tell my wife in a different way that I haven't just pissed this day up against a wall? And do I need to get back in the shower to smooth down the hair on the back of my head so that she can't tell that I've been asleep on the carpet for quite a large chunk of the afternoon?
Yeah.
I don't, so...
Yeah.
It's not, wretched. Wretched existence, but a lot of fun, as you say. Especially if something is happening or, whatever, it's joyous, Yeah.
I mean, there is, over the course of my life in comedy, there's been lots of existential crises and ups and downs, the bits you're really enjoying it and then bits where you're really hating it, and bits where you think it's ridiculous. I think I've got to a calm level where I sort of think, this is stupid, but I have to carry on.
Oh, there's definitely a point where, when you've crossed the Rubicon, the bridges are burnt, it's too late, it's far too late to do anything else.
Yes.
I think we're way past sort of army, for example. We can't even be cannon fodder.
No.
At this point, you could submit yourself to a sort of cannery. Maybe we could get ourselves sort of made into sort of soap and glue or something like that. Dog food. Because I think a lot of the time, if you have a sort of crisis about sort of at my age, particularly, I think if you have a crisis about sort of worthlessness and career, and like a classic one is to go into sort of teaching or something like that.
Yeah.
Go, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to give something back, and I'm going to get rid of these fanciful ideas, and I'm going to teach the. I would have to go back to university and get a degree in order to make me someone who could actually teach anything.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to teach, nothing to give to a wider society. I could be a sort of like a body, possibly in an anatomy course.
Yeah, that's good.
I could be dissected.
Yeah, they could plasticate you so they could just look inside you all the time.
I'd be happy to be plasticated at some point. I'd be open to that. Yeah, that'd be all right. Because they're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that plastification?
I think I did. I think I happened to see it. Yeah.
There was a great rabbit in there.
Right.
That was just blood vessels. That's what I'd like when I die. If it would be to just be blood vessels, really.
Yeah.
It looks fucking snazzy. It's kind of it's sort of like kind of jazz skeleton, basically.
Yeah.
It's quite busy.
Yeah.
But it's strong.
I'm not really interested in. I'd like my body to be used somehow.
Yeah.
I don't really care. Not like that. Maybe like that, mate. If you want, if you pay my wife enough to take the body away, you can have your way with it. If it's like 50 grand. Yeah. Well,
you don't mind how?
It's gone quiet. Hey.
You don't mind how it is.
I don't mind
growing carrots or something
If
like that.
I'm dead, you can do what they can do what they like with it. If I'm alive,
Rug?
100 grand if I'm alive. But if a rug would be nice.
You'd make a great rug.
That'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Bedspread or something like that.
Yeah.
Just have your little gaping face staring at you first thing in the morning.
The chances are I will predecease my wife, and that my wife will, after a short period of mourning, move on to her female lover.
You don't think you're going to have to sort of beg her to find love again?
She'd just be, okay. So it would be nice, like a bedspread on top of they have to... Just so that I'm in a presence. They could chop
bedspread perhaps in a sort of marital suite of a boutique hotel somewhere. Honeymooner's bedspread.
Yeah. Be kind of romantic. It'd be like passing on the torch, wouldn't it? A little bit.
Especially if your hide has been properly treated, then if it's sort of kind of wiped clean and that can be incorporated into love play and Yeah, okay, well, I'll give it a thought. You've been doing a lot of acting. I have been doing some acting, which I really enjoy. I've got absolutely no training in acting whatsoever, but I seem to mostly make a living out of doing that these days. I thought you probably did. I was watching you. You were in something quite super fancy, weren't you? It was like the Moonstone. Yeah. You were good in that. Did you see it? Yeah, I saw it. I saw some clips of it today. Oh, right, okay. That's really moving. Thank you. I'm relieved I haven't been able to watch that back. That was, I was Superintendent Seagrave. Okay. So I had to do a northern accent. Yes. And accents are not my strong suit. And so I did have some help from a friend of mine who's a kind of proper... He's a comedian, but he's RADA... Do you know Danny Rugby? Proper RADA trained. Yeah, I mean, he's sort of nailed. So but I was in because my northern is just sort of miscellaneous fucking northern. Yeah, just the northern of a southern man who has been to the north a couple of times and seen a couple of kitchen sink dramas, and this will fucking do, won't it? They'll never be able to sell. So I was very nervous about that. But yeah, that was the first sort of drama thing technically that I'd done. Yeah. As well. And it was a moustache job, really. Well, most of them are moustache jobs. Yeah. A false moustache costs a lot of money. So. They are expensive. Yeah. There's the decent ones. Yeah. And so there's a lot of your sort of geography teacher, your sort of RAF pilot, all that kind of stuff. Not many sort of kind of sort of dark sort of paedophile tales or anything like that. I'm sort of waiting for the call. I think give me a couple of years. I'm a bit old, and maybe that I get that's the parts I get. I get the weird the sort of sexual predators. Yeah. So the acting is mostly I am the kind of I'm an entourage really, and the moustache is the thing that's getting the job. It's the moustache that's getting picked up in the car. Yeah. And getting free range of the buffet trolley at lunchtime, and I'm just the guy sort of caddying him about basically. But so far, it's okay. And, I think you're a very good actor. I get the odd gig. I think you're a very good actor. But you do well. James actually, my tour manager, was talking about, and I didn't see this show, but you did a sketch show in Edinburgh with quite a large super club. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people in the sketch troupe. There were 9 of us. Yeah, that's too many. It was too many. Yes. Yeah. We discovered that very early on. Pretty much on day one, unwieldy, and in fact, quite a lot of the process of writing that show did involve, coming up with a name for the group, which is hard anyway for any group. But particularly when there's 9 of you is absolutely nightmarish. And none of the previews or anything like that, we couldn't get any of us, we couldn't get all 9 of us together. So often there would be 3 people doing a preview in Brighton or something and trying to do all 9 parts, most of which they don't know, of course. But yeah, it was me and Henry Packer and Ben Partridge and the Widdicombe brothers. Oh, yes. Nat Seamer, Sean Harries, Tom Crane. Who else? Fuck.
See, if you can't remember them all, that's the two Ronnies could both remember the other person in it. They could. That's you got 9's too many.
We had a good time though. We had a lot of fun. We got bird flued at the end of it, so there was no real, there was no proper end to that process. We had the last couple of gigs, and then about half of us got the squits.
Right,
is how that ended.
Yes.
Half of us got the squits. The other half went on to sort of glittering careers in stand-up comedy.
Right.
Sort of how it went.
That's how it went.
So, Josh and Tom and done really well. And
but it can only work when you're all.
squits.
It works when you're all in the Fringe, but not anywhere else, really.
Yeah, I think so. It was just chaos. It was just complete chaos, but a lot of fun to do. And it was the sort of thing. If we tried to make it better and good, then it might have been the sort of thing that someone might have fallen out with someone else.
Yes.
And I think we all decided, let's just stay friends and not fall out and just do other stuff instead.
Okay.
But I still work with, Ben Partridge and Henry Packer. We do loads of stuff together all the time,
And you do crop up in a lot. You did the David Walliams sketch show on TV.
that was good fun, yeah.
You do, and Horrible Histories you've been working
That's great. That's really lovely. I had a go at that. Yeah, that was last year. I just did a few of them. And that's fucking great.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of big, silly characters and silly wigs and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of acting I'm particularly comfortable with, sort of mugging it.
Yeah.
Basically. I'd love to do more of that if I get a chance. Yeah.
Good. Well, hopefully that will happen. Right, I'm going to ask you some emergency questions because these people...
My kids, the only disappointing about the thing is I'm slightly concerned that my kids might be fucking stupid.
Right.
Because it's the only thing that I've been able to show them that I'm in, pretty much, that they've been able to watch.
Yeah.
And the episode came on, and I didn't want to be a sort of, showbiz daddy. Oh, look at me, I'm on the telly. But that's exactly what I did do.
Yeah.
And then, first episode of the new series came on, and I knew I was a couple of sketches in, and then the sketch starts, and I'm sort of watching them on the sofa, thinking this is going to blow their fucking minds. And I come on, in character, but just dressed as a Victorian, just with my hair swished back, normal moustache, nothing else ornate, and I'm watching them. There's absolutely no response. Absolutely no response. They watch the sketch. They're like this. What do you think of the sketch? We didn't really understand it. And that was concern number one, because it was quite clear what was going on in the sketch. And then, but what did you think of Daddy? What do you mean? Well, I was in that sketch. Pause it, hang on. Lucy, can you pause the fucking telly? Again, I've knocked the bloody light over again. And they hadn't recognised their own father. 3 feet away from them on a television. Looking, it was really distressing.
That is bad. Though most kids don't realise that Justin and Mr. Tumble Justin Fletcher and Mr. Tumble are the same.
That's a very disappointing moment, when you raise that in the conversation.
So most kids don't realise that, and I guess... No, that is pretty stupid. I think they're probably stupid.
It's really,
I mean, they've grown up in the West Country. There's a problem if you put them in the West Country. It's very innocent. They're very innocent. Yeah. So they won't be able to understand anything complex, like someone being in 2 places at once. You're here, Dad, next to me, so that can't be you in the the magical lantern.
They do... they do. They don't understand reflections either. Come to think of it,
I'm going to ask you an emergency question, not from the book, but there's the book. If you could have any item, you could go from any art gallery or museum that you're allowed to take home and keep. Any art gallery or museum in the world. Any item can be artistic, or it can just be an item from any museum, but you get to keep it and take it home. Which one thing do you want from the world of museums and art galleries?
The greatest museum in the world is the Royal Albert Memorial Museum in Exeter.
In Exeter.
Playing to the crowd. Which is curated in the most wonderful... eccentric way possible. For example, and if I'm allowed to take a double piece...
Okay, yeah.
And there's a sort of top floor area, and there's a little corner where you have a stuffed giraffe which we still celebrate, the fact that it was shot by an old Exeter dude back in the day, next to a harpsichord. So it's not just about the individual items, it's about, how they put these, It's really, and you can stand there for fucking hours and think, what is the link? Did he play the harpsichord? There's no clues anywhere. And you look for clues and things in the blurb in case there's something. There is a button. You press the button. Think, here is the answer, and it just plays a little excerpt of some harpsichord. And I'm no closer.
Is it in alphabetical order?
Oh God. Oh God. Thanks. That explains why there's a thumb screw next to the old Exeter sausage, which I'd also been confused by. Maybe now I know why my kids are so thick.
I have asked you some emergency questions in the past. I'm going to try and not cross over. Oh, I should have asked about last week about the finger that can travel through time. Never mind.
We did that last time, I think, yeah.
I think we did it with you last time. I should have done it with someone who was interested in the Bible. Imagine where their finger would end up. There's a finger that's in the Bible, and I did mean to ask, there is a finger that appears...
In the Bible?
There's a finger that appears somewhere. I think it's in the Bible.
I think they're just implicit, aren't they?
Yeah.
You just assume that they all have fingers. It's like the old apple thing again. It's like, it doesn't say it, you assume it's an apple, but,
It's a disembodied, just a finger.
Yep.
Yeah. Tickling Jesus. It's in the Old Testament, I think.
Tickle,
I might be wrong. Right, let me have a look, see what I've got. If I said you had a beautiful body, would you tell me I should ask for a refund from the author of this book? What? This book's terrible. This book's terrible. Who is the most evil person you have ever met? Question 209.
The most evil person?
Yeah.
It's a toss-up between Mr. Elmet, who's the head teacher of my primary school.
Okay.
Don't know if he's dead or not. Fingers crossed. Just for legal purposes. Or a boy at that same primary school who's... What was his first... Ian Alexander? I can't remember his first name. His second name was West. He was an absolute bastard.
Is it Fred West?
It was Fred West. Very into crazy paving. From a very young age.
What did Mr. Elmet do to you for you to remember and be scarred by this many decades later?
He was mostly a sort of emotional and psychological tormentor.
Okay.
Was his thing. Physically, he very rarely physically abused anyone. The only physical abuse I got from him was when he got annoyed with me for chewing a pencil, and he made me come over to him, and he said, "Give me that pencil," and then he said, "Open your mouth." I thought, I don't like the idea of these two things going together. And he put it in my mouth, sharp end first, close your mouth, and then he went, BAM! With his open palm on the pencil and sort of rammed it down into the back of my throat, which does fucking hurt. Particularly when you're 8 years old. So he made his point. But I would have been very happy for him to just say, "Can you not chew that pencil? It really gets from my tits." Wozniak.
Was that at a time when, because there was corporal punishment was made illegal?
Yes.
I would have thought after that.
No one had ever bothered up until no one had ever bothered to make whamming a sharp end of a pencil into the back of a boy's throat illegal. Because it was assumed
I guess
by the general population that didn't need to go into the statute books.
No.
But later I sort of learnt that there were rumours that he was a sort of philanderer and possibly had broken up some marriages of some parents and there was a lot of gossip going on about him at one point, and he became quite well known for doing these like end of year speeches to the school, which is supposed to be about the school, but he put all sorts of stuff in about, you know, get fucked, you lot. You're talking about me. I'll do what I like, you know. And there was one that I remember he did. Rumours were flying that he was shagging all sorts of mums.
Right.
And
they love blokes who, you know, abuse kids. That's what mums like. That's their favourite. The pencil thing. That's just a way to get pussy.
And there was this school had a boarding element to it, so there were some kids that stayed there, and he told a story about how he and his wife had come home from a dinner one night, and it had possibly been a bit boozy and it had been too much wine. And that his wife had leant over to kiss one of the boarders on the forehead and wish them good night. And the boarder had said, "Oh, Mrs. Elmett, you smell like my mummy." And yeah, that was the response in the room. And he sort of glared across. So I mean, he was a hateful little bugger.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Wow. Were you boarding? You weren't boarding.
No. It was just it was in our village, but there was I think it still exists now, and I think the boarding thing now is more kind of like it's kind of social care boarding is what they do now.
Right.
There, so it's not kind of, you know.
Yeah.
They'll take urban children and put them somewhere leafy for a bit.
It's interesting that you've gone to. I mean, it's a good choice for the answer. It's interesting that you've gone to. That's stayed with you all that time, and that's the person that you know you instantly recall for that. I think
because I think he's the first person I met that I had a sense of you're a sadist.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I know it's so. You know, it's also as I suppose as a child you expect teachers to be sort of not to attempt to physically harm you with a pencil. I mean, he could kill you with that. That's a terrible thing
but
to
it's
do.
also just the way he generally carried himself about and how he would sort of psychologically sort of bully other kids and make them feel.
Do you think we could put this in the podcast, or am I going to have to take this out?
I don't know. I can try and find out if he's dead or anything like that, or if he's.
I mean, hopefully, his family. At least he's just died, and his family thought, "Should we cheer ourselves up?"
I mean, I assume if
by
he's
listening to a podcast. His son's going, "Oh yeah, he's got a great podcast, Richard Herring. It's really funny. He did a great one about biblical study last week. It's very interesting."
I mean, I assume everyone in his life, family included, probably think he's an absolute dickhead. So yeah.
But I think a lot of comedians have. Maybe it's just people do. I mean, I talk to comedians. Maybe a lot of people have these stories, and it's
the school stuff.
Yeah. A lot of comedians go back to school. I think it's quite interesting in their minds, and that's the thing that's stuck with them. Robin Ince's latest book about why comedians become comedians, sort of, he wonders whether most comedians have some trauma in their childhood.
I've not read that. Okay.
Do you think? Do you think that's a thing? You know, there's a lot of divorce and a lot of.
Well, this is the thing. I have no right to be a comedian whatsoever. I had absolutely blissful childhood, lovely, nice parents. Nice sister, no problems.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Really. So I've got beyond. I mean, all of my concerns are small. So there's this sadist.
Yeah.
But then he's out of my life. And there's no, aside from the normal sort of school scraps and bullying and all the usual bollocks and I don't. I mean, there's no. I mean, I wasn't sort of born in a circus. No one was. Throwing me around a stage from the age of 3 months old, there's no, it's incredibly vanilla. My background,
but mine is as well. I think,
but
you could find. But then I guess you'll find something like that in anyone's life. It's sort of interesting. I think that many teachers were abusing their position. I guess it's a difficult job. I come from a family of teachers, and hopefully. None of them were putting pencils in anyone's faces, but I
think there was a lot. When I was at school, there was a big scene of teachers who had been around and when corporal punishment was still a bit of a thing.
Yeah,
who very much viewed it as a right.
Yeah.
So at the grammar school that I was at, there was a geography teacher who was notorious for, if you were going to come in for a bollocking, he'd summon you to his office, and you're supposed to get detention, but he'd give you a choice, and he'd be like, "Look, okay." You can have 12 detentions, or I've got this slipper. I know about your slipper. I've heard about your slipper. I'll just whack you on the arse for a bit. And most of us we would take the arse whacking.
Yeah.
Because because we didn't want to have 12 detentions. And, you know, he didn't particularly put his elbow into it. He was quite a sort of doughy man. Yeah. I think if he really sort of gritted his teeth and went for it, it was never going to do that much harm in the first place. It was quite an old... He hadn't replaced his slipper in a long time. The sole was quite worn away. You know, it was just... It felt more like being... Well, Jesus, I was about to say it felt more like being flapped about on the backside with a limp dick, and now that I think about it... Oh, God. It's the Giraffe Harpsichord all over again.
It's a weird time in the history of our country where, you know, I remember primary school and you sometimes got the DAP at primary school, you know, and when I think we were 8 years old, we were 9 years old, and a grown man was at least intimidating us through fear to the idea that we'd be hit with it, to the extent that I can't remember. I think I did get the DAP. It's you guys know what a DAP is. Yeah. But a plimsoll training shoe, whatever. But the fear of it was more than the actual... You know, I remember the fear of getting it rather than actually being hit by it, which I think I was. But it's weird that an adult would hit... That we lived in a... We'll be back to it after Brexit. People at home will be experiencing it already. You know, back to the good old days of the 50s and 60s where adults hit kids. My dad
had a teacher who'd, I think he'd been injured in the war. He still had an arm, but it was completely limp at his side, and that was his chosen weapon. Completely dead. A dead arm. He'd turn a tight 360, little pirouette on his feet. The thing would come whipping around, knock you off your fucking chair.
He must have been sad that it happened, and then just in his mind, but this is going to be great for beating children with. Yeah. Look on the right side.
I'm going to get a nickname out of this, yeah. Baffa Harris, I think.
Good. See, the good merged questions. We got all that out of... let's try another one. See if it's a bit more light-hearted. My fault for asking. I mean, what do you expect, Richard? Yeah, I met a really evil person who was nice to me. What is the worst thing that's happened to you on holiday? I hope you didn't go on holiday with that headmaster, because this is...
There's been a few things. I was in Sri Lanka once, a long time ago, and... monkey threatened to beat me to death with a toothbrush. That was quite intense. Just came out of the room, and there was the trolley, you know, the trolley for sort of, you know, soaps and towels and... Yeah. And it was just... it had been absolutely seized upon by a mob troupe of monkeys living up to their name. Absolutely, you know, just fucking it up big time, eating tiny bars of soap, fucking tiny bottles of conditioner, and of the maid who I'd met the previous day. There was no sign whatsoever. I didn't see her again, in fact, in that state. And yet the gang leader had a toothbrush that he was brandishing at me aggressively, and communicated very clearly that he would beat me to death unless I fucked off, which I did.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good story.
Had some squits in...
Yeah.
There's usually a squit one, isn't there?
There is.
With everyone's got a squit story. But my squit story was... it came about halfway through a sort of week-long holiday. And as I sat filling the pan with pint upon pint of shit and blood, I found myself thinking... I prefer it in here, and this means I don't have to spend any more time with my girlfriend this holiday. So it was an epiphany.
Yes.
Really, that that really our time was up.
Yes.
Which she agreed with, and
Yeah.
I think it really helped to sort of seal the deal. I think she had a lovely few days, so we ended on good terms and everything. But yeah,
It is. It intensifies the relationship. A holiday. There's no escape apart from shitting yourself.
oh yeah, you see things very clearly through the lens of amoebic dysentery. don't you? Sometimes.
So, is there another series of Mr. Game Show in the pipeline?
No. No, although I am the guy Joel who I made that with. We are making a new podcast.
It was good, I have to say. It's a podcast, Mr. Game Show, where you did a game. It was
a game show.
Silly game show.
It was quite
With
good
Diane
fun.
Morgan.
I didn't really feel comfortable in the sort of Ents thing. Wasn't
Right.
Yeah, no, that was so I didn't really feel like
I thought that was part of it.
Well, that was part of it, but the idea was that part of it was shtick. Was
Right.
the idea. Whereas actually there was shtick, and also there genuinely was a real man thinking, I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing here. But it was fun. But no, we're doing a completely different thing.
What's the next one?
The next thing is, wherever I have lived in England, Exeter included, there has always been a little free local community newsletter that has appeared through the door, every few months
Yeah.
or so. Lovingly amateur-run newsletter
Yes.
with, local gripes in the letters and racist jokes, so it's an audio version of that. The idea is it's set in a fictional ward of Exeter, and the guy's had his funding cut, so he's got to do it by podcast now instead of being printed. So I think the first one will be out quite soon, hopefully, maybe this month even. So it's an experiment. We're giving it a go.
Good.
Made a couple of episodes, going to fire it out, and then see what happens, see if people like it. Yeah,
It's good podcast. This is a podcast.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good doing podcasts.
It's fun. I love the podcast thing.
Yeah.
I haven't made one myself, other than that, but I do a fair bit of it. And with Ben Partridge's beef and dairy stuff, do get involved with that a lot. And one person, two people,
Two.
that's a lot of fun. Yeah, although Ben is the engine of that, of course. Yeah,
Yeah. Good.
good.
Good. I've just written there. We've answered this one already. Why Exeter? Good question. You're very clumsy. I noticed when you knocked over those lights.
Oh, right.
Twice.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a clumsy person?
Yeah. Have you got that from someone else?
Yeah.
Or is that from who? Who's told you that?
I've just written clumsy down on this piece of paper.
Yeah, I have a reputation. I've in my household certainly. I fall down the stairs possibly 3 times a week. I would
Really?
say.
That is clumsy.
And that is better because we were in a different house, had much steeper stairs last year, so it was sort of daily basis. Daily basis also with quite a sort of low ceiling at the end, so it was I've had a lot of head injuries in my time. A lot of little sort of mini sort of slow speed prangs in cars.
Right.
I flip-flop about. I'll wear flip-flops at the drop of a hat, but
Okay.
flip-flops plus clumsy. I get a lot of scrapes. Where's this come from? Who told you I'm clumsy? I try and keep that.
It's what
on the
everyone
down
says
low.
about you. Don't know what it was. I think it was from you. I think it's something you said.
To you.
No, and somewhere on. I look online and find things out about people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
Yeah.
Clumsy.
I am clumsy. I'm not proud of it. It'll get me one of these days.
Yeah.
It'll be it's either bowels or flip-flops. I think probably.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about not wearing flip-flops?
Oh. Yeah, no, that's quite a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really. They're sort of a beachwear thing rather than a housewear thing. Aren't they, flip-flops?
Yeah, okay. I'll consider that. I'm learning quite a lot today, aren't
Yeah.
I?
I find
I think,
flip-flops. I
yeah.
get annoyed with flip-flops because you've got like the I don't know what they call it. It's neither the flip or the flop. The spongle.
The spongle?
Yeah.
Or is that the toe grabby bit?
Yeah.
Is it?
The pit you put your toes
The
in. I
spongle.
guess.
I've never had a problem with the spongle.
Yeah. If I don't like the spongle, so I can't
The
wear.
rubber bit, do they?
I've become aware of it, and then once I'm aware of it, I can't stop thinking of it between my
spongle.
toes, and then I have to flip the flip-flops off.
I feel like maybe I quite like the feel of a smongle.
Do you?
That might be what it is. But I'm sort of, I think I am likely to have I don't mind the idea of an accidental death, though, really. I think a death that's sort of potentially amusing to your family is quite nice if you go too early. Do you know what I mean? If you've sort of sat near yourself off a cliff or something like that, then, it just makes it a bit easier.
I've always said, I think I did a routine about how the idea of doing... I'm pretty sure I will die in a musical or ironic death.
Yeah.
And it will annoy me in my final seconds.
That final moment.
Mainly to think just of the headline Steve Bennett will write on Chortle about it, which is a comedy website, but they'll do some awful pun. So I'm...
So you won't even get a final slideshow, you'll just get a series of puns, basically.
Just get a pun of,
Before your eyes.
I did a big routine about it. I'm trying to think if I get the HIV virus and die of that, he'll put herring AIDS, that kind of thing, That's and that's him, not me, coming up with this stuff. So don't blame me for that. That's what I imagine he will say.
Yeah.
And I'm disgusted by it and not happy about it at all. And this is Dial M for Middlesbrough. Is this Jason Cook?
Jason Cook has written that.
Yeah, because he's done a couple of those, right? So they're murder mystery. One's been on a coach and one's been on a...
There's Murder on the Blackpool Express.
Yes.
There was another one. This is the other one. I'm just a bit part in that.
Okay.
I play a middle-class Southern English bloke with a moustache.
Good.
But yeah, great.
We'll look out for it.
Great fun. Well, yeah.
But what I did see you in, and though my memory is so bad now, I had to rewatch some of this to try and remember what you were in it, but I loved you at the time, was Prevenge, which is a fantastic film by Alice Lowe.
Yeah. Which was quite an achievement in and of itself. Have people seen Prevenge at all? One or two? This is a
really worth
pregnancy
checking out.
revenge killer, kind of like very, very dark comedy horror thing.
Yeah.
That they basically, the film production company had a few spare beans, and she's got form, sightseers, and all kinds of other stuff. And they basically said, we got a few beans, but we need to spend it really quickly. Have you got any scripts on the go? And she said, no, but I've got a bit of an idea. I'm up the duff, and I've had this idea about this thing, and just wrote it in. It's the sort of writer's dream, I think. She just had an idea, just sat down, just wrote it in a couple of weeks, pretty much, and it was really good.
Yeah.
And then filmed it really well.
Yeah, well, she had to, because it was about a pregnant woman being...
And she was,
possibly...
Yeah.
Instructed by a child to kill men.
Just did it, went ahead and just did it.
You were nice in it, right? Your character was nice.
I was a nice guy, Josh. So I played a white middle-class guy with a moustache. And I wasn't supposed to be on the revenge list. I was at wrong place, wrong time. Tom Meaton was supposed to get it,
right,
instead of me. And
I can't remember. I remember you being nice, and I don't remember you being murdered.
Sticky end.
Yeah. I suppose you want that really for the acting part.
Put a statuette to the old Swede.
Yeah.
That'll
Spoilers. Pretty much every man in it died. There are some nasty men in that film, and does anyone deserve to die? Yes, all nasty men.
Yeah, there are some nasty men. There's a woman as well. The character definitely pushes things to extremes.
It does.
I would say there's a couple that absolutely you're like, yeah, the world is better off with you dead.
Yeah.
There's a couple who you probably definitely a dick, but you possibly don't need to stove their head in. But you get whipped up in it during watching the film. You're completely behind her.
And was there improv? It seemed quite improvised, but was it improvised?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but an easy improv in that, she's already written a really good script and there's something to lean back on and you know exactly who you are and what you're supposed to be doing and she'll get it done and you'll...
Yeah.
It's been filmed and then it's in the can and then, she'll do kind of, let's do a loosey-goosey type version. But she's just being funny anyway. So you're just, just coattailing, basically, having a lovely day. Yeah.
What about, you did your own short film, which was called...
Sump.
Yes.
My directorial
about someone
debut.
Being trapped in a drain.
Trapped in a drain? Well, it was a cave.
Yes, okay.
We started
was it
we
inspired
started with
by
drain and then made it more dramatic and made it into a cave instead.
Was it inspired by the underground network in Exeter?
It wasn't.
Okay.
No, it was set in Somerset.
Okay.
Up in your Mendips.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
It was just I'd just been desperate to direct for a long time.
Yeah.
And so finally realised I just had to sort of get on with it and do it, and that I was in a position to coerce and emotionally blackmail some friends to act in it. And
Very good cast.
Operate cameras. Very good cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Rigby and Jeannie Spark and Gemma Whelan, you know, as Game of Thrones Gemma Whelan.
Yeah.
Just nice woman, good mate, and susceptible to emotional blackmail.
Good.
Basically. Help me, Gemma.
Actors like to act, they don't, that's the thing, that's the problem.
They do. She's a worker as well. She's a workhorse, is Gemma.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bunch of people gave up their weekend. We had a lovely old time, you know.
Is there more of that in the?
I would love to do more directing, but at the moment I'm at the point where I've spaffed any spare beans on that.
Yeah.
So there's no current spare beans to make another film, unless I can convince someone else to fund the film, which is either like a sort of TV company, so which I'm always asking Mr. and Mrs. Big to let me make something.
Yes.
You know what that's like.
I do.
But in terms of funding for short films and stuff, at the moment, there aren't any funding bodies that are particularly concerned about giving white, middle-class, middle-aged men a leg up in the industry for some strange reason.
Yeah.
As if we're, you know...
It's anti-moustache bias, I
It's
think. That's what it is.
Rather than just, you've had enough of the chances. Just, come on, you know, buck up. Yeah. So, I don't know, at some point, when there's some beans...
Yeah.
You know, if you see two very hungry children walking around Exeter, then you'll know that, I've funded another short film.
But it is difficult with a lot of people are trying to write stuff, and it's very, very difficult to get anything made.
Yeah, well, but that's the nice thing about short films and podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
You can just do a thing. You don't have to have the existential identity crisis of, you know, what am I, who am I, what am I? You can make a thing, and it might not earn you any money, or might lose you money, but at least you've made a thing. You know,
It's true. Well, I'm sure there's a lot more to come.
Fingers crossed.
We're going to have to wrap it up because the people of Exeter have work in the morning.
They do. Well, thanks for having me.
But, it's been lovely to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Wozniak! Thank you very much for coming, everyone. Hope to see you again very soon. I'll be out there to say hello. Thank you. Goodbye.
How'd you like them sky potatoes?